Hello everyone, welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Tim's from London in the UK. So let's see what Tim has to say. Enjoy the interview.
Hello.
Tim.
How's it going?
I'm very well. How are you today?
Good, thanks. Yeah, nice to meet you.
You too. Nice to meet you too. Nice to get someone just last minute like that.
There you go. Happy to be last minute. Go with the flow.
Yes, absolutely. So Tim, before we start the game, just tell me where you're from.
Well, that's always a difficult question because I've lived in London now for 7 years and I always forget where I'm from, but I'm actually from the southwest of England in a small town called Bradford-On-Avon.
Bradford-On-Avon?
Bradford-On-Avon. Yeah.
Bradford-On-Avon, wow. And where is based? How far is from London?
Gosh, it's about an hour and a half on the train if you get the really, really fast train.
Right. So tell me something interesting about your hometown.
Something interesting about my hometown. Well, it's where I'm from, so obviously it's very interesting to me. But yeah, so basically it has something there called the Tithe Barn. And the Tithe Barn, what that is that it's a massive stone building with a thatched roof. And if I'm correct, I think the building's about 800 years old. It's a really, really old building. And it was used to store grains, and farmers would use it to store grains back in the day. And now it's just an existing structure that no one really knows about it, but it's huge. But it's almost like you go in there and this building has the air of it's almost like a pyramid-like structure because it's such a cool architectural old building, but no one knows about it. And of course I didn't view it in such historical terms, so I used to kick a football about in there when I was younger.
And what do you do for a living, Tim?
So I have my own coaching business. I actually work with guys and I'm helping them to work on their body, mainly on their body shape. So helping people to lose body fat, build muscle tissue, and just become the best version of themselves, really.
And what do you like the most about your job, in your opinion?
Okay. So really, really interesting. You know what? You would think it is getting people results, as in tangibly, maybe helping someone get a six-pack or build bigger arms. But actually, what I personally enjoy the most is when you help people change the way that they feel about themselves, when you change their relationship to themselves. And that's I would say like an energetic shift almost. That's all that really counts to me. You know, if you can make someone have a better relationship with themselves, then you won.
Amazing. Right, team. So welcome to William and the Magic Box. Here, my lovely box full of random fun questions, okay? I'm just gonna play some music just for us to get a bit in the mood before the first question. Ready?
Perfect.
Let's do it. Hope you like the music. Okay, team, ready for the first question?
Yeah.
Let's do it. So the first question is, good one. Usually, what's the first thing that you think about when you wake up?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. Probably my to-do list. If I can be disciplined enough, because that's the first thing I do when I wake up. I write my to-do list and then I do my meditation.
Are you a day or night person?
You know, I'm learning to be a light person. I'm learning that the power of getting up in the mornings. If left to my own devices, I would stay up till like 4 a.m. But actually what I'm learning is, wow, biggest tip ever. If you go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time every day, it's like a drug for your brain. It awakens your awareness.
Very good one. I like that, actually. I like this. It's a very good one. I know about waking up because I'm an early person. So even when I'm on the weekend, always like 7 a.m., 6:30, I'm already like wide awake. And even if I try to stay in bed a little bit longer, but it's already there, so I cannot stay anymore. But going to sleep is a good one. I never heard of it before. Good one. I'm gonna put in practice now.
Yeah, but I heard that actually waking up consistently at the same time every day that's the most important one.
Very good. Second question. Let's do it.
Question.
Okay, Tim, before the next question, tell me what you like the most about living in London so far.
Wow. Well, you know what? With the easing of restrictions, I've got to say the humanity on the streets. You know, like when we think about what nature is, you know, we think about plants as being nature and stuff like that. And obviously, there's no doubt about it. London is primarily a concrete city. So I feel for many of us, it's been a challenging time with all the restrictions, etc. But now there's an abundance of nature on the streets in the form of human beings. So I could just feel the energy of other humans right now, and I'm loving it.
Very good. Okay, next question is, what makes you the happiest?
Ooh, wow! What makes me the happiest? Gosh, I think connection with other human beings. You know, there are a few things that really bring me happiness. Playing music, for example, learning, personal development. You know, I think fundamentally we're all the same. We all desire peace, love, and happiness. You know, even the psychopathic person just wants to feel happy and secure in himself. And personally, I feel that with connection with other human beings, playing music, anything that I'm doing that's creative, you know, drawing, editing videos, doing what you're doing, this type of thing. Yeah, I guess I'm quite like a mixed person. Yeah, always looking to. Whenever I'm being creative, I'm very, very happy as well.
Very good. Good one. Let's go for another one.
Do it.
Right. Next question for you.
Yes.
What gives you butterflies?
Oh, what gives me butterfly? This is very interesting because I think that very nicely relates to the question you just asked me, which is what makes you happiest. And I'd like to, do you know what, if I'm really I would like to answer the last question again, and that'll answer this question. What really makes me happiest is when I go outside my comfort zone. And anything that makes me go outside my comfort zone is that very thing that gives me butterflies. So whether that's interacting with new people, you know, doing a new hobby, learning a song that's going to be challenging, these things give me butterflies for sure, but they also make me feel alive.
Very good. And in your opinion, what's the most, let's say, going out of your comfort zone, what's the most challenging one? Let's say, if you could pick one, okay, this is out of my comfort zone, what would be? To know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd probably say, you know what? Like I grew up in a binge drinking culture, right? You know, like London, you know what it's like, right? So I would personally say, like, as a challenge to myself, I didn't. It's not like I gave up alcohol, but I just decided, you know what, today I'm not drinking. And so far, I didn't drink this year. And part of it is just to know myself, so that all this and socializing. Socializing, I would probably say socializing, meeting people, approaching people you're attracted to, maybe doing that when you're in this soberness. That would certainly be very, very challenging. Because I think one of the things that we all struggle with, we all have a challenge, is letting go of approval-seeking behavior. But in order to let go of that approval-seeking behavior, you have to face everything you're afraid of, right? And but this is again, it goes back to what makes me happy as well. So it's just a massive paradox, at least for me in my life. The things that make me happiest are the things that I'm most afraid of as well. And yeah, just gotta enjoy life.
Very good, very good. Another question for you, Tim. Right, before the next question, tell me a little bit about your YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, my YouTube channel. So do you know what? Like my main mediums that I connect with my audience right now are via Instagram, Facebook, and of course, you know, being a human being, like how we would interact, like, you know, me and you did on Instagram DMs or just actual real social interaction. So the YouTube, I've done a few podcast episodes. So I've done the first season, and this time I'm really looking to upgrade the second season. Whether we do some face-to-face, like real life interviews now that we have that luxury. And yeah, YouTube is still one that that I really, you know, like not like yourself, for example, because I noticed you've got quite a bit of momentum and traction going on YouTube. For me personally, it's still one that I'm really like, because it should make sense to me because I can do a lot of longer form content, but it's just for me, that channel, that is a platform that I'm yet to really like get my teeth into. Maybe I need to ask you for some tips.
I just started out as well. It's funny saying that because I've been learning so much through the way. I started out my YouTube channel last October, and
Wow.
it's you learn a lot through the way. You know, every day is something new. And actually, my birthday last year in November, my flatmate gave me this YouTube channel, how to manage your channel, how yeah, it was very interesting actually, and it's cool. But you say about I was watching one of your videos on your channel about how to say no to drinking. Yeah, you had mentioned before in the previous question. That's okay. You go out, you have a drink, you're just socializing. It kind of makes it more relaxed in a way. But tell me a little bit about this video that you post on your YouTube channel about how to say no to drinking.
Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Well, you know, I think it's really learning about sub-communication, because someone can ask you, are you having a drink, or do you want a drink? And you might say, I'm not drinking tonight, or I really shouldn't have a drink tonight. But the thing is, it's your voice can say one thing, but your vocal tone can say another thing. And we've probably all had an experience before. We've tried to say no to someone, but we've just felt like weak. And in actual fact, even though we've said no, that person has been able to plow through our no, or plow through our objection, and we've ended up doing what they want. So it's not just for alcohol, it can do anything, you know, whether it's learning to say no to a night out if you need some time to yourself, or learning how to say no to whatever it is. And it's really just taking your power back, and it's learning how to actually communicate effectively. And it comes down to there's kind of two areas really. So one of the main things to know is vocal tone. So for example, if you talk in a very kind of nasally way, it just tends to like command a little bit less respect. So one of the things is to actually bring for example, if you're very, very relaxed, naturally when you're relaxed, your voice will be lower. And if you're relaxed, you communicate authority, at least authority over yourself, which everyone is entitled to.
Wow.
You're entitled to authority over yourself. No one can take that away from you. And here's the thing, if someone says to you, are you having a drink? And you go, no, I really shouldn't. I really shouldn't. And what you're doing is you're unconsciously inflecting your vocal tone. So inflection is when you raise your vocal tone at the end of your sentence. And what that does is that sub-communicates to the person you're talking to, and it's asking for their permission to do what you want. And what you're actually doing is you're supplicating to the person you're speaking to. So you're actually, through your vocal tone, you're putting them higher than you. So for example, if you, let's say you met a celebrity, or you spoke to someone you're attracted to, and you wanted to tell them you thought they looked nice, and you just want to say, I think you look really nice. I think you look really nice. That person wouldn't even know, but they'd be like, oh, they wouldn't even know why they felt like that, but they'd be like, oh, get away from me. Whereas if you went up to that same person and said, oh, by the way, you look nice today. Yeah, you look nice. And they'd be like, oh, thanks, mate.
It's a different approach. It's a different approach.
Yeah, it sub-communicates that we are equal. And we're all equal, right? So it's like when you go out and someone says, do you want a drink? You just say, I'm all right, thanks. And then you can add to that if you want, which will become the truth if you keep it up. And I'm sure it's like the truth for you. Do you know, I'm all right, thanks. You know what? I'm really enjoying this not drinking thing. I'm loving not drinking right now, but you go ahead.
You put a barrier. You put like a barrier when you say that.
Yeah, you just state your truth, you know, and people will be like, okay, this guy is living his truth, because the voice doesn't lie, right?
Yeah.
So the voice communicates your emotion. So if you can stay relaxed and be like, you know what, I'm loving it right now. I'm loving not drinking, but you go ahead, you do you.
Let's say that the person insists. What would you say if the person insists? What would you say?
Do you know, of course, like, for example, this happens sometimes.
Yeah.
The people, but honestly, it's like, because lads, right? Lads have lad banter.
Yeah.
And even though like and I think life is very, very important to learn to navigate that and learn to hold your space. So there's two sides to it. I think one is that honestly, when you own your truth and you take control of your vocal tone, and this by the way, this takes time and practice. And this is, by the way, I work in the fitness industry and I help men to change their body, It's a lot more than a diet plan and training program. It's learning behavioral habits. It's learning communication. So maybe you're not going to get this right last time. This becomes a practice for your life, owning your truth. Because for example, if you're in the same room as someone famous that says he's not drinking and he speaks in this light way, you're not going to dispute that. You're going to be like, okay, cool. Can I get you a tea or something?
I see.
Yes. But then there's the other side to it as well is so one, when you learn to communicate effectively, even if you've got very laddie friends that are like, no, you shouldn't drink. Trust me, they'll give up because they've got better things to do. And the real reason they don't want you to drink is because they want you to drink is because it reminds them in a sense of the fact that they do need alcohol to have a good time, or they think they do. So it kind of shines a mirror into their own life. So it makes, if they can get you to drink, they don't have to personally reflect on themselves. The other thing as well, when it comes to personal development, and you kind of touched on it earlier, like when you came to London and stuff, one of the reasons why we drink alcohol is because it's what everyone else does. And I think, like, for example, what you're doing on your channel is amazing because it's not just providing value to other people, it's personal development and relationship building for you. And it's
absolutely, yeah.
And that's a really, so it's bringing like joy and communication skills and personal development into your life. And I think one of the really important things as human beings that we have to do on our mission on planet Earth is to discover what we enjoy doing. Because a lot of times we're using alcohol or any other substance. It could be alcohol, cigarettes, checking our smartphone incessantly. We fill these habits in because there's a void inside of us. And if we can find things that we're passionate about doing, then we start to fill that void and actually become whole again. So it's twofold. It's not just communication. It's also what really fills you with passion and joy in your life. Because when you truly find what those things are, you might not be necessarily spending so much time with people that want to force you to drink alcohol, and you'll actually be doing things that truly make your life fulfilled. And maybe even, and I know it's a very hard thing for people to think about as well, but when you start to find friends that also share your interests that aren't alcohol related, it's a massive game changer. And I know that's a massive thing to think about, and it doesn't mean you should just suddenly cut all your old friends out, but certainly be open to making new friends as well.
Very good. Good one. Next question for you is, what motivates you the most in life?
What motivates me the most in life? I think it is being the best version of myself, personal improvement. And we often being self-focused, often people think that is selfish. And I would agree, it is selfish. But I think the word selfish has a negative connotation. There's a strong difference between being selfish and foolish. When you focus on yourself at the detriment of others, then that actually creates havoc around you, which can only fall back on you. And I personally would say that that's foolish behavior. But when you truly work on your personal development, you become self-focused. That's the gift that you then give to everyone else. And I feel the most important thing we have to do in this life is really to awaken ourselves. It's just a word. I'm not saying this word necessarily has any bearing on physical reality or it can be measured in a tangible way. But if you think about the idea of vibration, that we want to vibrate at different frequencies as human beings, and that our goal is to raise our vibration so we can become more attuned to a higher level of consciousness. One of the biggest mistakes I think we can make as human beings is thinking we can change the world by physically going out there and doing something, which, don't get me wrong, we can change the world that way. But in my opinion, the most important way that we have to change the world is simply by changing ourselves. Because then, they said I'm not religious in a conventional sense, but there's a book called Power versus Force by David Hawkins, where he talks about raising your vibration. And he said that Jesus Christ vibrated at 1,000, which is the highest you can go on this planet. And he said that just by walking down the street, people would be, just in his presence, people would be like, wow. And I'm sure we all had that experience where someone's walked into a room and you don't know what it is, and they're like, wow.
I agree.
Yeah, you know. So by working on yourself, simple things like going to bed up on time, you know, like going to bed on time or waking up on time, you know, learning how to say no to an alcoholic drink, learning an instrument. And I feel that when you work on yourself, then you basically, the way you treat other people is better, because you're more conscious, you're more aware, you're naturally more empathetic, you have a high level of respect for yourself because you treat yourself with more respect, and the world becomes a better place.
Very good, very good. Another question?
Yes, please.
Let's do it. Okay, team, next question for you is, if you could be an animal, which one would be and why?
Wow. Okay, so if I could be an animal, well, you know what? Can I give the question, the answer to the question that you're probably not expecting?
Of course you can. Absolutely. There's not right or wrong. So
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I would, you know, historically I would have said at a certain period of time in my life, a bird, so I could fly, and that'd be very, very exciting. But honestly, I feel that being a human is, wow, how often do we ever go, it's amazing to be a human? You know, we have the power to experience such an emotional range, you know, sadness, joy. In a way, we're the most blessed and cursed at the same time. We're the most blessed because we realize that we're going to die one day. So we realize this lifetime is finite, but we're the most cursed because we realize that. You know, in a sense, we're like the caretakers of the world, which is a great responsibility, but it's an amazing thing. We're aware of ourselves. We know we're alive. So yeah, in my opinion, it's hard for me to articulate, but for so many reasons, it's amazing to be a human being. And one other thought, by the way, right? How often do we look at a sofa and go, oh, that's an amazing sofa? Or we look at a plant and go, that's an amazing plant. And we're allowed to call that beautiful, and that's okay. But what do we fail to do? We fail to look at ourselves and go, I am beautiful. And we are, man. We are an amazing creation. And let's just give ourselves, just, you know, the same way we'd look at a plant or a rose and go, that is just a perfect. We never look at a rose and go, that is not perfect. We don't even question its perfection. We say that is a perfect thing of nature. And for ourselves, man, if we can redirect some of that obvious acceptance of perfection, because we are the same perfection. And for me personally, when we talk about self-actualizing, a lot of that is just realizing it.
Very good. Wow, what a question. What an answer.
Thank you.
Good one. I love it. Another one. Before the next question, team, tell me, and in your opinion, what's the most challenging part of living here in London?
You know, London has been called the loneliest city on earth. I think London is kind of like a pressure cooker for facing your personal demons in a way, because it can be that very thing. And there's no doubt the only person that can change London being the loneliest city on earth is you. But in that way, many people can relate to that when you say the loneliest city on earth. When we first got here, we felt lonely, And, you know, for a period of time, we were a victim. You know, we felt like, gosh, this city is happening to me. But then what happened? You know, like you're doing, you know, because we're networking right now, right? We'll have a relationship after this of some kind, right? So, you know, you went, you know what? Or I went, you know, when I did my business, started my podcast, etc. The only way I'm going to get out of this is by stepping up into courage. And so though London, yes, in one way, if you want to be a victim, it's the loneliest city in the world. And I've experienced that before. And that is what I would say is the hardest thing. But it forces you to move up into courage if you want to go to the next level. And then when we're talking about that vibrational frequency thing, you've got a victim mentality. And then you get angry about it. You know, this is really annoying me. And you get so angry, you're like, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. So you shift into courage. So all of a sudden, you've gone from victim to anger to courage. And in a way, even though it's a really difficult place to live, it actually can enable you to flourish in one sense.
Wow, good one. Okay, next question is, who makes you laugh the most?
Who makes you laugh the most? Wow. You know, I enjoy laughing. Yeah, gosh, who makes me laugh the most? Well, probably the person I spend the most time with, which is my housemate next door. You know, just through pure logistics. Don't get too much of a big head about that. You know. Actually, that's really funny, isn't it? Because there's a story I heard once, which is an amazing story that it's often, you know, we often idolize certain people in our lives and go, this person means so much to me. But I once heard a story about two old ladies that lived across the road from each other and they hated each other, right? And they were always getting at each other's throats and, you know, like nagging at each other. And one of them died eventually, right? And then when the other one died, the other one, never having realized it, was heartbroken because even though they had this kind of relationship that wasn't that positive, that relationship was, they were the character in the other person's lives. That was the relationship they had. So when this one person died of, you know, of old age, the other person died shortly afterwards of a broken heart. I mean, she was old, but her reason for living was gone. So I often think, you know, there are people in our lives that, even if the people in our lives that we might mentally think sometimes they annoy us or something, people bring a lot more into our lives than we sometimes give them credit for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. It's all part of the journey, yeah?
Absolutely.
I enjoyed the show so far, Tim.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's fun. It's really, you know, you never know the tangent your consciousness will take you on when you ask these questions, right?
Let's go for another one. Okay, before the next question, tell me, and what's the most challenging part of being a personal coach?
You know, I would say it's shifting your consciousness from hoping. Okay, it's taking control of your thought. It sounds really, really abstract, but what I would say is it's shifting your consciousness from wanting them to get results, because of course you always do. You always want your client just to like go past and go to the next level. But the thing is, if you don't take control of your thoughts, your thoughts can very carefully go into what if they don't achieve that result. And so even though you think you're thinking about one thing, you're actually thinking about another thing. It's kind of like the law of attraction, right? You know, you think you want to be rich, but actually you're thinking about being poor all the time. That doesn't have to be wealth, financial wealth. That can be emotional wealth, spiritual wealth. And so actually it's what we say to clients is learning to have faith in the process. And actually, as coaches, we got to have faith in the client's process. So that is a challenge, but it's also once you remind yourself, whenever you catch yourself having one of those thoughts where you're worrying about clients' results or clients' progress, it's just shifting back to remembering it's for you as a coach, practicing what you preach. It's about having faith in the process, which of course makes everything easier. And that, by the way, that's a very, very interesting thing, because often bodybuilding is thought of as being a vain pursuit that can't be connected to spirituality in any way. And when actually, since time immemorial, as people have been training, especially as people have been training to enhance their aesthetic appearance in any way, one of the key tenets has always been trust the process. And what is trust the process? It's have faith. And what is have faith? It's believe in this life and trust the universe. So it's funny because they say when it comes to self-actualization, there are many different paths, but they all lead to the same destination. Anyway, there you go. Just an aside.
I agree. Next question for you is, tell us about your best holiday and why you consider that.
My best holiday. Okay, my best holiday. So I went on a what you would call I guess you could say a spiritual retreat last summer. And so it was I did an experience called Kambo, which is it's a frog medicine. Now a lot of people get this confused with something called ayahuasca, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we can talk about that another time. But this is actually what the frog medicine does. And it's funny because you definitely know I'm not trying to sell this to you when I tell you this, okay? So, what the frog medicine does is you fast for 12 hours beforehand. And There are frogs in the Amazonian rainforest, and basically they're covered in poison. And as a result, they have no natural predators. So what that means is if you want to extract the poison, the frogs are they're kind of fearless. They'll just let you extract the poison. And poison's the wrong word, it's venom, because it's not actually a poisonous substance. And what the venom does is it switches on the healing mechanisms in your brain. So what it does is the poison, okay, I'll show you here. Can you see these little dots?
Yes, yeah.
So I had it done a few times, right? And the venom, when it's applied, switches on makes neurons fire in your brain to switch on the healing mechanisms. So for example, whenever you're ill, your body, if you're having a stomach bug, your body will go, okay, let's make you sick, so you get rid of whatever's in there. If you have a virus, your body will say, okay, let's heat you up to kill the virus, or let's cool you down. What this does is it switches on the healing mechanisms in your body. And as a result, your body goes into like a rapid, all those healing mechanisms get turned on. So some people think it really helps the body stay physically healthy. Now, interestingly, by the way, there's no scientific research to validate this. Now, I would say that's convenient because it's not a pharmaceutically produced thing. It's naturally occurring. But actually, a friend of mine that runs a business, he's getting some investment, and what he wants to do is actually get paid research for that, like so they can look into the scientific validation. But there's another side to it. So what it does, you take the venom and you fast for 12 hours, and it basically makes you feel very sick and unwell. You drink a load of water, and it actually makes you vomit. And it feels, when I say vomit, purge, because you haven't got any stuff in your stomach. And as you're going through that purging process, it feels like, you might imagine, like it feels extremely uncomfortable. Now, when we talk about discomfort, most people talk about their holiday and they go, oh my gosh, I went to this amazing place in Bali. The service was to die for. The food, oh my gosh, out of this world. All we're talking about is physical indulgence. That's just materialism. And we all know materialism can't make you happy. We all probably know someone that's got loads of money and all the rest of it and isn't happy. Whereas what this does, this is the secret of it, right? It puts you into such intense discomfort. And your first initial thing is to resist the discomfort, to go, because you don't want it to be so painful. And it's like, oh, you're trying to resist the discomfort. It doesn't work. Eventually, you give up resisting. And that is the secret. When you give up resisting the discomfort, you just fall into peace with it.
Wow.
And as you fall into peace with it, you go into like a deeply meditative state, and it can be very, very profound. And for me personally, I had a very strong heart-opening experience. Before the conversation, before I took the Cambo, a girl said to me something about living from your heart. And then as I was undergoing the Cambo experience, as I was coming out of it, because I just let all this pain in and I didn't try and resist it. I did to begin, but then I stopped trying to resist it. I just allowed myself to feel. And this is the thing, everyone's always living in their head, right? They can't stop thinking. They say, oh, I can't meditate because I can't stop thinking. Actually, the second you give yourself permission to feel uncomfortable feelings, then you actually allow healing to occur. As in, when I say healing, I mean, childhood trauma, things we went through in our childhood. Not a lot of people know this. Hopefully a lot do. But in order for us to become integrated and whole as human beings, emotions or feelings have to be felt in order to be healed. And what are we constantly doing? Smartphone, holiday in Bali can just be an avoidance mechanism. Those chocolates were to die for. Beautiful. It's all can be an avoidance mechanism. Actually, you can do your healing right here and right now, just by identifying the things in your life that you use to stop feeling how you're really feeling. Maybe it's smoking weed, maybe whatever it is. And that was what the Cambo ceremony forced me to do on that particular occasion. And yeah, of course, life-changing weekend, but at the same time, the work is constant. You always have to be on the lookout for these triggers, that you're using to stop you feeling how you really feel. One more thing on that, by the way. We think when it comes to not feeling pain, that pushing away the pain is the way to not feel pain, right? Oh, I'll just check my phone. Oh, I'll deal with that tomorrow. Go out and get drunk, whatever it is. What we don't realize, the thing that creates the pain is the pushing away. Because we all desire peace, love, and happiness, right? And it's a bit hippie, it's a bit abstract, but you know, when you don't feel such a strong sense of separation, when I can see that you're you and I'm me, and there's no difference between any one of us, and we're all in it together, then I realize, of course, we all want the same thing. We all want, you know, love and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's that doing that Cambo or going on that experience allowed me to kind of bring that into my real life. So I'd say that was the best holiday, yeah.
Right. And where was that? Was in England or?
Yeah. That was in Devon, but there are also Cambo practitioners all over the world. Honestly though, that's a very, very intense dose of it. But I think the most important thing is the lesson, especially when it comes to addictive patterns of behavior. It's learning that the addiction is never the problem. It's the reason you're using the addiction. And if you can identify that and get to work on that, that takes courage, of course.
Very good. Another question for you, Tim.
Yes.
My God, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot in this conversation with you, this talk.
Oh, wow. Thanks, man. Me too.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Another one for you. Let's do it. Okay, Tim, next question for you is, who was your first crush and why?
Wow, gosh. Yeah, man. Okay, so first. Yeah, this girl I used to sit across from art class, man. Yeah, I should have had more courage. Should have gone for that.
Yeah, carry on. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was 13 years old, and we just used to talk to each other a lot. And I think I think we just formed, well, I felt some kind of strong energetic connection, but I didn't know enough about, gender dynamics at that point, you know? So unfortunately, my mum never told me, like, it doesn't always work like this, but my mum never told me, Tim, you've got to make a move if you want something to happen. But never mind. A lot, learned a lot since then and still learning.
I'm sure. Next question. Okay, Tim, before the next question, tell me how the fitness came into your life. Very young age.
Yeah, how fitness came into our life. Okay, wow. And this, how fitness came into my life was, I was on holiday when I was 15 years old. I was a pretty confident teenager, but I was quite fat. And basically, yeah. So when I say fat, I mean, I was fat enough to be bullied and teased, but not like fat, some of the people that you see on the cover of a magazine for, you know, being like, having lost half their body weight. Like, you know, I was 2 or 3 stone, probably about 15 kilos overweight, but as a percentage of my body weight, that was 20% or something like that. So I was fat, but I wasn't super fat. Anyway, I actually had a girlfriend when I was younger, so 13 to 14. So I was quite like, I was confident, I was charming. You know, I didn't really have body image issues, not really, maybe a bit. I went on holiday with a friend of mine when I was 15 years old, and we both looked at this girl, and I said, mate, what do you think my chances are of getting with this girl? And we were only 15, and he said to me, he was quite a good looking guy. And he said to me, this is an interesting point. He said to me, no offense, mate, but I think my chances are slightly better than yours. And it was the kind of thing that he'd let it out. He realized he upset me, but not that he upset me, but more I was upset by the way his words made me feel. That's the real truth of it. And so, but it was hard. But I know we live in this funny PC culture right now where it's like, accept yourself no matter what, But there was more than a kernel of truth in what he said. You know, essentially what I realized was the way you take care of yourself sub-communicates a message to the people around you. And it does, because human beings, we're social animals, we communicate to one another. You know, just like my video on how to say no to alcohol goes, we sub-communicate is more important than the words you say. How you present yourself, do you take care of yourself? And not just do you take care of yourself, but what is your internal dialogue about how well you take care of yourself? Because your internal dialogue and the vibrational frequency that you emit, or your vibes, by the way, anyone that doesn't think of vibrational frequency is legit, they use the word vibes. Where does vibes come from? Vibration. So yeah. And it basically, the way you look after yourself transmits to the world, and I recognize that. So at that point, I worked on myself. I started going running every night. I started tracking my calories. Within a couple of months, I'd lost like 2 stone, which is maybe, I don't know, 20 kilos or 15 kilos or something like that. Yeah, I really, boom. I went, or maybe 10 kilos. I'm never good at the conversion, but I really went on it, and yeah, it changed my life because, you know, the way I organically, the way my body ran as a machine meant I was just producing a lot more feel-good chemicals. I was feeling good from the running. I was feeling good from the healthy food I was eating. Then I started to get positive feedback from other people. You know, well done. You're looking after yourself, Tim. Like, what inspired your change? And I was always fascinated by helping people change their body's shape, because that was a journey that I've been through. And it's funny because I've even been attacked on social media for being part of the problem when it comes to toxicity about body image and things like this. But for me personally, no one understands my journey. I went on, or people do understand my journey, but maybe that guy didn't. Because I've been through a massive transformational change, and what you see physically is the tip of the iceberg. It was how I treated myself, how I took care of myself, how that changed my relationships with other people. And this was always why I've been really like inspired to help people go through that transformational journey. Specifically, and that's really why I like to work with guys, because I know what it did for me, and when you see it make a similar change in someone else, amazing. Yeah.
Very good. Next question for you is, what was your favorite part about school?
My favorite part about, you know what, my favorite part about school, I think I was very lucky. I went to a mixed gender school, and I think that enabled me to communicate effectively to people of both genders without really thinking too much. So I'd say my favorite part of school was the social element, I would say, yeah.
Tim, I have 3 questions left for you, okay?
Perfect, love it.
Next question for you is, Tim, share with us a crazy story that happened to you when you were at school.
I remember having a fight. I was always quite outspoken. You know, like even some of the ideas I've shared on this podcast, on this show, people, you know, they might not rub so well with a few people, who knows? And I was always outspoken at school, confident but outspoken. And what I didn't realize, and this is what I meant when I said I went to a mixed gendered school, because and my social groups at school were always mixed gendered. I was very, very lucky. Most people were just boys that hang out with boys, or girls that hang out with boys, girls that hang out with girls. I was very, very lucky that I hang out with boys and girls. And actually in my work now, when I talk to people, a lot of male friends that I have that have difficulty communicating with women went to single gender schools. So that's one of the reasons why I'm super grateful, not just that I went to a mixed gender school, but that I was mixing. But one of the things I wanted to say was that because I was kind of socially quite well equipped at that age, I had problems coming later on that I didn't know about. I was always kind of, even though I was kind of popular in a sense that I always had lots of friends, I was also always a target for people, you could say bullies, people that wanted to get one over on me because they were kind of jealous of the whatever I was, you know. I ever saw it like that, it's analyzing it now. And I remember one time, I just remember one time there was one guy that like ran down the corridor, and he happened to be the son of one of the main teachers in our school, which is really interesting. But he ran down the corridor and like literally I was walking down, just like punched me in the back of the head, right? And anyway, I know I told you this story, a bit dark. And anyway, this is not, by the way, normally when people tell stories, they have a punchline at the end. I'm just communicating to you. So anyway, and as he did that, my brain went, this would be poetic justice because everyone's seen that he's made this bad move. I never really hit the kid back because I didn't really know how to engage with that. For me, punching someone was always like an extreme amount of violence. I'd much rather like shove or, someone, because punching really means you want to hurt them and you're acknowledging that. But I remember basically, me and this kid had a bit of a scuffle. He went for me again. I kind of threw him against the wall, which then meant his head clattered against the wall. And of course, I've always been strangely athletic, right? But never the kind of guy that would start something. Anyway, so we had a fight, and yeah, and that was one of the definitive shaping experiences of my life for sure. I remember allowing myself in a way to engage in it because he was a teacher's son, that I knew the teacher's perverse, but I knew the teacher wouldn't be able to have a go at me because it was his son that started it. And just a funny story. And I guess it really got me thinking about why people do the things they do, and the type of person that I wanted to be. Was I ever going to be one of those people that would do things to fit in, or would I rather have some trouble along the way but live according to my own path? And I'm not saying that's who I've always been. It's a constant dialogue, and it's always a constant work.
Amazing. 2 questions left. Okay, team, next question for you is, when was the last time that you cried and why?
Ooh, nearly last night, actually. Nearly. I feel nearly is as good as did, right?
Can you share why? Or...
Yeah. Or was it a little while ago? There's a therapy, right? There's a therapy where one thing I realized is that no matter who you're, we all have trauma growing up, because trauma is part of the experience that shapes us into being who we are. And human beings we're adaptive mechanisms, and that's what makes human beings amazing. But humans always work harder to move away from pain than towards pleasure. So trauma itself actually plays a key role in our evolutionary development, which continues to make Homo sapiens, at least by our opinion, the dominant species of the human planet. Although if you live in London, you might think it's pigeons. Anyway, that's an aside. So there's a type of therapy where unfortunately, though our parents always did the best, they did the best with what they could, there are certain things that just for whatever reason, but maybe had an effect on us because that's the way we're shaped. It doesn't mean they were doing a bad job, it just means that's the way it is. And the thing is, with your parents, a lot of times people think breaking relationships with their parents or having a massive go at their parents when they're in their late 60s or 70s is the way to go about dealing with your childhood trauma. But actually, there's another type of therapy where instead of actually going and shouting at that, you can just imagine that you would say to your parents the things that you would say. For example, and say it from a child's voice, like, you did this to me, you did that, even though your higher conscious maybe, this is how you made me feel. And what you're really doing there is you're giving yourself permission to feel emotions again, maybe haven't been felt for a very, very long time. And so, I was learning about this in my head. I was watching a YouTube video and learning about it through the YouTube video. And then I just started doing that. And I was able to engage with some emotions that came up a little bit.
Do you have brother and sister as well?
Yes. Yeah. 2 brothers, 1 sister. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready for the last one?
Yes.
Let's do it. Okay, team, let's go for the last question. Right, good one. Send away a message to someone in special, but you don't need to tell who this message is for. Just the person who's been watching know that the message is for this person.
Yeah, the most important thing in a man's life is to discover courage. And the things that are going to scare you are the things that you need to do. Honestly, recognize your fear and learn how to take incremental small steps towards it. Because if you don't, you're going to be dead soon, my friend. Because we're all going to be dead soon. So, do what you need to do, man. Yeah. I'd probably go a little bit more direct than that. But if I was any more specific, it would be very clear who I'm talking about. By the way, just for the previous point about the therapy, I'd just like to say I love both my parents very much. And, that was at no point, love you both very much.
Good. Okay. Okay, Tim, let's play now the quick thinking game, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give away some words and you just tell me one word related to this one, okay? Let's start with life.
Death.
Money.
Famine.
Love.
Hate.
Family.
Joy.
Sex.
Pleasure.
Politics.
Revolution.
Religion.
Spirituality.
Friendship.
Holding hands.
Fear.
Embrace.
Regrets.
Absorb.
Desire.
Selfless.
Success.
Present.
Happiness.
Acceptance.
Wish.
Stars.
Oh. How about London? One word.
Opportunity.
And the last one now, transformation coach.
Which would be your transformation coach, because that's all I can ever do is for you to enable, okay, change.
Okay. Actually, when I was looking your Instagram, I like this message, transformation coach. I like that because you can go in different directions. You know, you can branch a lot of things. I like that. Very clever.
Thank you.
Right. So now let's pretend that I'm going to meet your best friend for a cup of tea, and I'm going to ask him or her. Tell me the most beautiful thing about Tim, and tell me something that he needs to improve on. What do you think she or him will tell me?
Wow. Okay, so what does Tim need to improve on? It's a very, very good question. I think they will tell you that Tim needs to improve on seeing projects through to the end.
Oh, good point.
The ones that really have known me, maybe there's only, you know what, maybe it's only like one or two people that could ever give you that, because it would be like the most ruthless feedback, right? You know, because probably they're not going to say that, or they might not even have that insight into my character. But there's been a couple of people that have known me long enough that, you know, because where they could occasionally have seen those. I have so many ideas, right? I'm a great ideas person, but it's hammering those through and consistency with it, which is something I'm actively working on for sure.
And what's the most beautiful thing they'll tell about yourself? They'll tell me about yourself.
Well, I think the way I am as a transformation coach is not really, I just love helping people, and there's many other areas of life that I help people in. So a friend of mine said, we were talking about business and we were having a kind of a semi-serious conversation. You know, sometimes to have real conversations, you have conversations that feel great. And then sometimes you have to have conversations where you go into that territory where, you know, you're talking about your fears and insecurities. And he said, Tim, you don't realize it. Like, yeah, your business is a part of you, but what you're doing it all the time. You're helping people, and that's what you're here for. You know, and you're doing it little bits here and there all the time. That was one of the nicest things that anyone said to me. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing. And if I would ask the same question to your parents, what would be the answer?
Tricky because I think my parents are in an acceptance phase of their life. So what would my parents say? The one thing I could work on, I think my mom would really like me to settle down with one person and not be so picky. And what would she say is one great thing about me? Well, she's a very, very loving mother. So I think she just sees things in pure terms of love. She loves me very much. I think my dad really appreciates my ability to actually use social skills in my job role, because he was an airline pilot. So his job was a really cool pilot job, right? But flying airplanes, you know, and although it did require a degree of social skills, I think he really respects what I do in my job, because of course it's marketing and networking. And I think he recognizes that as a set of skills that he doesn't think he has, which is not, I don't know, I'm probably inherited some of that from him actually, but yeah, that's what I think he would say.
Right, team, let's play now Team in the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question, okay? Yes, you can ask me a question now.
Okay, well, I'm always learning from everyone else, and there's you know, we're all an infinite point of, you know, I would say like we're all a part of the truth, and it all gets represented in different ways. You know, the apple that falls from the tree is not the same as another apple, but we're all part of the same tree type thing. So I'm really keen to learn from you and your perspectives. And my question, which very much fits the theme of the show, I think, but just curious, is, which I didn't know the theme of the show was going to be like this, the trend of the questions. But yeah, how do we find personal happiness?
I think we find personal happiness when you are open to, when you have open-minded, when you see other different things in your life or different people, and you don't judge it, you just accept it and respect it. I think it makes you a very more acceptance person, and a happiness actually. You feel happy when you accept the way you are, and also when you are approachable. When approachable to whatever comes to you. You want to go through life of bad and good moments, but at the end of the day, if you are approachable and if you are kind as well, I think when you do good things to people, actually you are helping yourself. You are not doing good things to other people, you are doing good things to yourself. And I think when you put this in practice, when you kind of watch yourself on your behavior, I think it makes you a happy person. And sometimes you don't even realize that. You just realize when you are doing the action of being kind or just being approachable. I think that's what's it's the meaning of happiness overall.
Wow, I think you dropped, a few things there, bang, bang, bang. You know what? The first thing you said, actually, I was the one I felt the most. And I don't know how, but somehow when you said it, I felt it. Because you can hear the same thing, you know, said by 100 different people, but when one person says it, it resonates to you. And when you said about being open, I almost feel like being open is actually an act of courage as well, because being open means you have to feel things that maybe aren't nice, or maybe are nice, but you have to really let yourself feel. And that's how you really experience life. Yeah, but I felt that when you said that. Yeah.
Tim, very good. Thanks so much for the interview. I really appreciate that. And,
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.